Through the beauty of art, writing, and music, people are able to express what's unseen in their hearts and minds. It becomes an external extension of who they are and allows them to share a piece of themselves to the world in a very deep and vulnerable way.
This summer I did my internship for my psychology degree with a at-risk youth summer camp, and one day it was really rainy and we weren't able to do a whole lot, so we had a little kind of arts and crafts day and we started painting. And growing up I was never really good at arts and crafts and painting and stuff like that, so I never really gave it a shot because I thought I wasn't good at it. But on that day I decided to try it out, and the first painting I did was a rainbow tree. And I really liked it because I actually did pretty good at it. And then my most recent painting is these waterfalls, and I tried to like it as best as I could, but I just didn't really like the painting, and Dad did, so I gave it to Dad. Painting makes me feel kind of just it makes me feel relaxed. I don't really have to make it perfect and don't really have to think about anything else. I just just pick up a brush and start painting, and it's relaxing. I tend to watch TV or listen to music when I paint, so it's really a relaxing time. I don't get to do it often, but when I do, it's super nice and always puts a smile on my face.
It's a barn quilt that I made. I actually painted something too, but it's very old and it just lives in the potting shed. I try and keep up with them creatively, but it's not easy.
Something else I've been into making, which is kind of creative, is taking PVC pipe and bending it into these bows, archery. So that's been fun. I like to give them away to friends, kids, and this is another one of the bows I made. A little bit longer, I flattened it out here. It's a recurve bow. Here shows you what it looks like when it's drawn.
He has lots of toys.
In 8th grade, I was given the label of the best gift giver, which is totally stupid. But I really do put a lot of thought into, I guess, gifts for my friends. I think that's one of the bigger ways that I show my affection, and I'm good with words in cards and texts. But I am entirely awkward in conversations.
I make jewelry, and I'm wearing a necklace right now. People want me to sell the jewelry, but I really like to just give it away right now. I feel like it's more sentimental when you just give it to somebody.
He enjoys when other people like something. So he made this ring, this silver ring here, and I saw it and stole it immediately, and I've worn it there. And he made me this little strange leather bracelet. You know, parents are not reliable people in talking about their kids because they see only the good things there too. But he really does have a talent.
The way that I show love is I like telling them. I express it in words or writing. I always make my mom homemade cards. I've been doing it since I was little, and she has a whole stack of them from all the years. And so I like making through art and just telling them that I love them.
Jaden made this for her dad one year for Father's Day. It's just, she was little when she made this, and it's just some ripped up paper mosaic, but she said, "I gave you hair, Dad." She was like, "I love you, I gave you hair." It's so cute. It looks kind of like.
I like it when people give me homemade cards or gifts because it feels from the heart, and it's the thought that counts. So I really enjoy that when, for me personally.
And I've also gained a bit more awareness over the years that once you say something, it can't ever be, taken back. And so I think I've been a bit more careful with the things I say, and so if I say something, I guess a bit mushy, I would hope that they know me enough to know that that's not just me being silly.
I feel more competitive than he probably really is about writing, but like poetry, and when I get published in something that, you know, he got rejected from,
Right.
makes me feel loved when we have those little competitions.
We have a lot of this wordplay where we gently insult each other without being too cruel and so on too. And so that was a non-example of that. But he was invited to submit a poem to a publication recently, and I had already submitted 3 or 4 poems to that publication, unknowing that he was going to be asked to do it. Of course, his poem was accepted, mine was rejected there, and he reminds me of it pretty often, too, which is fine. I was happy that his was accepted.
It was just about like a normal day, like for me when I was at home with my biological family, like some normal day where I would come home from school and there'd be smoke filling the air, or I would, the Saturdays we'd go camping and there'd be a little too much drinking and a little too much fireworks.
Okay, so I have this, it's kind of a poem, kind of prose. It's a rough draft. I don't have a title for it yet. Why does it never end? My life still throws hurdles at me, one's too high to jump over. I try to jump over them, but I can't. They're 30 feet tall, and I just stumble and fall to the ground. I have a sprained ankle while my life is being the hurdle. I can't get past. No one helps, so I lay there in front of the hurdle until I get back up and try to jump again. I have a lot of poems written, but that was one of my most recent ones, so I wanted to share that one.
I think Jimmy and Laurel inspired me to write. They're both English teachers. So if I hadn't lived with them, I mean, I know I'd probably still be good at writing, but I wouldn't even have thought to send it in to get published or get an award. It was definitely because of them.
So this is called ASEAN Transparency. When you describe me to your friends, you will tell them how slanted my eyes are, how flat my nose is, the lack, for better words, of whiteness in my pigment, you know, the Asian kid. And I know those words will not be spoken with malice, maybe even with fondness. The model minority, SJWs be damned, silent we flock, nestled in our own little bubbles, silent we take it, the butt of racial jokes, of which to any other race would be considered racist, silent we confuse race with the range of a coin, two-sided, black and white, diversity is monochrome. You talk about how amazing Black Panther was, cultural depthness to feel better about your whiteness, but where was this integrity when Dr. Strange came out? Where was the outrage when we were but diminished to a comedy side character? The ancient one is Celtic now. And I think, do I have a right to complain? We are, after all, the model minority. Everyone likes Asians. We are not ostracized, suspected of terrorism, suspected of theft, suspected of violence. We reap this benefit by becoming silent. Slip between airport security like the flaws your mother is determined not to mention at family gatherings. Look to in classrooms for help on assignments, and do not protest the lack of representation. Silent, submissive, weak, like we have always been portrayed to be. Yes, yellowface is still prevalent, whitewashing is still going strong, and yes, for those wondering, yellowface is a real thing. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Cloud Atlas, even Disney, they pass below our radars easily, forgivably. Are we to blame as well? Between mountains of boba, Asian culture, already exclusive, condensed in bubbles where the likes of yellow-fevered individuals escape us, but Scarlett Johansson's Makoto Kusanagi still burns into our retinas. I do not say these words to spite other races, to spite our brown brothers and sisters down under, a part of Asia that is often left even more excluded. I do not think we are the victim, but what are we if not fault and not victim? Perhaps it is both. Perhaps it is years of Asian stereotypes, years of it being okay to laugh at our accents, to forget that China is not the only Asian country, to fetishize our women, exotic, sexy schoolgirls, Korean fanboys who serve as fodder to the hungry masses, an appetizer before your racial debates. Or perhaps it is us, our unwillingness to leave the safety of our like-minded nets, to bow our heads when things don't concern us, to conform to society's assumptions of us without even realizing it, refusing to enter the conversation. I do not think we have it terrible. We are not suffering, but it is no longer acceptable to keep adjusting to whatever Hollywood has decided are now the standards. They speak our truth without even asking, so how must it be true? How can we be complacent to stand by and watch misrepresentations spread like a wildfire atop the rich culture that is our homeland? This year, I had a friend tell me that I was not black, so I must be white. Erase my heritage like the history we have tried to erase from American society. Forget the Jap camps. Forget that because we are not black, we are also not white. And to every color left in between, there are still injustices to be had. Errors hanging between us like bad breath, but the model minority sits silent as we've been taught to survive. And yet, we cannot rely on faulting other races to undo our plights. It is easier to blame. Blame it on Hollywood, blame it on media, blame it on all races but ourselves, refuse responsibility, avoid it like the number 4. Death, superstition, raining down, but the cultural meaning escapes us in America. Perhaps that is the point. Ultimately, between the lines of cultural pride and pretentiousness, the model minority will do what it feels best for society. Isn't that what we've always done? But I do not want our legacy to be just, cement our place in society by being quiet, forgettable, but we built this country, one railroad track at a time. Do you remember? Did you even know? We are not suffering. They never gave us a chance to. We never gave ourselves one.
It definitely is a good outlet for getting your emotions, putting your emotions down on paper. It kind of is like taking them out of your head and putting them in a box, you know, and the sending it out there, that's just something extra. That just feels good to have someone read your writings and stuff. I don't just write poetry, I write memoirs as well.
Church has been a place where music has been important. She's been involved in church music, playing it, singing it. She's led church music here like the entire service before in this church. When she was like 10 or 11, she would do that. And she sings her own stuff too.
Yeah, she writes her own music and writes music to it or plays music to it that she composes. And
Yep.
And the story behind that song, just to be honest, is I completely embarrassed myself in front of my crush, which I do a lot. So I just felt like writing a song about it, and that's what came up. No, he has no idea.
Hopefully he will never have any idea. So yeah, that's the story behind that song.
Every concert, every night. We love her music, and I really like the things that she writes. Even though some of her songs are sad, they make me feel happy.
It makes me really glad to hear Jaden's music, because I feel like it will carry her throughout life and just be something to always turn to, and that's just built it up since such a young age. It's just, and I don't have any musical ability, so it's really cool to listen to.
Facing the unknown is one of humankind's greatest fear. Sometimes unraveling truths about the past can be painful, yet also liberating. Trying to discover answers to burning questions may be what releases the anchor that holds someone behind. But taking that first step is a path some may choose and others may not. What one individual might need in their journey of self-discovering the world of foster care and adoption, another may not need. Everyone is unique in their quest for belongingness, a full sense of self and embracing who they are.